The village of Umunze lay cradled between rolling hills and thick forests, a place where the morning sun kissed the red soil and the river whispered ancient secrets to those who would listen. In this village, life moved slowly, ruled by tradition, kinship, and the wise counsel of the elders. Children ran barefoot along dusty paths, their laughter mingling with the calls of the market traders and the soft songs of women fetching water. Among the villagers lived Odinaka, a young farmer of quiet strength. He tilled his fields with care, walked the soil with patience, and loved his wife Ma with a devotion that was rare in a world full of fleeting attachments. Ma was more than beautiful. She possessed a grace that drew the admiration of the village. Her laughter could lift the heaviest heart, her voice carried wisdom beyond her years, and her kindness touched everyone she met. Odinaka, see how Ma tends the children, remarked Ebere, Odinaka's childhood friend, as they watched her help the market children with their baskets. She is more than a wife. She is the spirit of this village itself. Odinaka smiled, but a shadow crossed his face. I know, my friend, and I shall protect her with my life, come what may. But in the distance, on the golden throne of King Ozor, a different shadow loomed, one born of lust, greed, and unquenchable desire. King Ozor was a man of immense power, his crown gleaming in the sun, his wealth unrivaled, and his voice obeyed without question. Yet, all his riches, all his authority could not satisfy the hunger in his heart. It was during the festival of Ihuoma, a celebration of the harvest and the gods' blessings, that fate twisted cruelly. The village overflowed with people from near and far, laughter, drums, and dancing filling every corner. Ma moved among the villagers, helping with the decorations of palm fronds and sweet-smelling flowers, her hands weaving with gentle precision. Her hair shimmered like the midnight sky, and her smile, bright and warm, drew the eyes of every man, but none more than the king. From his gilded pavilion overlooking the festival, King Ozor saw Ma and froze. She moved with a rhythm so natural it seemed to command the earth itself. Her eyes shone like morning stars, full of light and life. King Ozor's heart pounded with a desire he could not explain. Never had a beauty so simple, so untamed, pierced him so deeply. By the time the festival ended, a dangerous thought had taken root in the king's mind. He would have Ma, not by her will, but by his own. The whispers of his advisers, the laws of men, and the pleas of the innocent meant nothing. His obsession blinded him. That night, as the moon rose high over Umunze, Uchenna, the king's greedy and cowardly adviser, arrived at Odinaka's hut. The villagers slept quietly, unaware of the danger that had come to their door. Odinaka, Uchenna began, voice smooth but edged with threat. His Majesty, King Ozor, has taken notice of your wife. He wishes her presence in the palace. It is not for you to refuse. Odinaka's heart clenched. You dare speak of my wife as if she were a mere possession? She belongs to no one but me. Uchenna's eyes narrowed, though he forced a polite smile. The king does not tolerate defiance, nor does he forgive those who question his will. Consider this your final warning. Odinaka's fists clenched, his knuckles whitening. I will not bow to a man who rules with cruelty and lust. She is mine, and I will defend her with every breath. That night, golden palanquins rolled silently into the village, and the king's guards surrounded Odinaka's hut. Before he could react, Ma was lifted from his arms, her cries muffled by the guards' force. Odinaka fell to the earth, clutching the red soil, his cries echoing across the sleeping village. The villagers peeked from behind their huts, frozen with fear. No one dared intervene. To oppose King Ozor was to invite death. In the palace, Ma was brought before King Ozor. The hall gleamed with gold, marble, and intricate carvings depicting the king's ancestors, yet its beauty felt cold and suffocating. "You will obey me," King Ozor commanded, his voice booming across the chamber. "Refuse or you will suffer the consequences." Ma's eyes flashed with courage. "You may have my body, but you will never own my heart or my soul," she said, her voice steady despite the fear that threatened to break her. The king's anger flared. "No woman denies me. Your beauty was not given to you alone. It belongs to me." Ma's defiance did not waver. She drew strength from her love for Odinaka, from the life they had built together, and from the knowledge that injustice cannot stand forever. Among the palace servants, a young maid named Chisom watched in secret. Her loyalty to justice surpassed her fear of the king. "Do not despair," she whispered to Ma later. "There are those who will help you. Be patient and your courage will find its way to victory." Back in Umunze, Odinaka wandered the village under the silver light of the moon. Sleep eluded him. Meals went untouched. His sorrow, though overwhelming, slowly transformed into resolution. He could not let Ma suffer in the hands of a tyrant. He sought counsel from Dalu, the elder of the village, a man whose wisdom was respected by all. Dalu's eyes, sharp beneath thick eyebrows, regarded Odinaka with solemn understanding. "A king's power is great, but no crown can withstand the courage of those who fight for love and justice. If your heart is strong, Odinaka, your will can move mountains." Encouraged, Odinaka began to gather allies. His childhood friend Ebere, a skilled hunter, pledged his support. So did Ifeanyi, a young warrior, and Obina, the village blacksmith, whose strength and ingenuity could craft weapons to aid their mission. Even Odinaka's clever sister Ngozi joined in, ready to play her part in the clever plan that would restore justice. Together, they began to strategize, mapping the forest paths, studying the palace from afar, and preparing for a night when courage and cunning would confront tyranny. In her chamber, Ma held the thought of Odinaka close to her heart. She could not control the king, nor could she immediately escape, but she could endure, resist, and prepare for the moment that justice would arrive. She smuggled notes from the villagers into her room, messages of hope and plans for her rescue. King Ozor, meanwhile, grew more paranoid. He punished servants for imagined slights, questioned advisors constantly, and wandered the halls in obsessive frustration. His obsession with Ma blinded him to the danger closing in. By the time dawn approached, a sense of quiet anticipation settled over both village and palace. The villagers, guided by Odinaka's courage and Dalu's wisdom, were readying themselves. Ma, unbroken and determined, braced for the moment when her love, intelligence, and resilience would be the spark that toppled a tyrant. And somewhere in the palace, King Ozor's crown glinted under the first light of day, a symbol of power that would soon be tested against the strength of hearts united by love and justice. The village of Munze had never felt so quiet. The usual chatter of women in the market, the laughter of children running barefoot, and the rhythmic clatter of blacksmith hammers had been replaced by whispers and wary glances. Odinaka's heart ached, yet amidst the sorrow, a fire began to burn. Ma was not lost. She had survived King Ozor's cruelty, and he had underestimated the power of her courage and of the village that would fight for justice. That evening, Odinaka met Ebere at the edge of the forest, where the shadows of the trees danced under the silver moonlight. "They think we will sit and watch while he takes what is not his," Odinaka said, his voice steady despite the storm within him. "We cannot fight him openly, not yet, but we will fight smart. We will fight with strategy, with cunning, with courage that cannot be broken." Ebere nodded, his dark eyes reflecting determination. "The king underestimates the people of Munze. He sees us as simple farmers, but we know every path,
every secret of these lands. Let him come, we will be ready." From that moment, the seeds of rebellion were sown. Odinaka and Ebere first went to Obina, the village blacksmith. His forge, always alight with fire, seemed even more alive that night. The flames cast shadows that danced across Obina's muscular frame. "You know what we face?" Odinaka asked. "King Ozor has taken Ma. He believes his crown makes him untouchable." Obina struck the anvil, sparks flying. "A crown means nothing if the man behind it is weak," he said. "We will craft what we need to fight him: traps, weapons, and strength. We will show him that his arrogance blinds him." Next, they visited Ngozi, Odinaka's clever sister. She had a mind as sharp as a blade and a cunning unmatched by most men in the village. "We cannot rely solely on brute force," she said, examining a map of the palace and surrounding lands. "We need diversions, secret paths, and intelligence. If we act recklessly, Mma's life is at risk." With these key allies, the rebellion began to take shape. Messages were quietly sent to other trusted villagers. Ifeanyi, a skilled hunter, pledged his arrows. Chisom, the palace maid, promised to aid Ma, and even some hesitant villagers, tired of Ozor's tyranny, agreed to lend support. Within the cold, golden walls of the palace, Ma endured her captivity with dignity. Each day, King Ozor attempted to break her spirit, offering jewels, fine clothes, and even empty promises of power. "Why do you resist?" the king demanded one evening, his eyes flashing with fury. "You may have the walls around me, the gold, and your power, but my heart belongs to Odinaka. No crown can take that." King Ozor's hand trembled with rage. For the first time, he realized that wealth, power, and intimidation could not bend everyone to his will. It was during these long days that Chisom, the loyal palace maid, became Mma's secret lifeline. She smuggled notes from the villagers into her hands, messages of hope and coordination. Odinaka grows stronger with each passing day. "The villagers are planning. We only need patience," Chisom whispered one night. Mma's spirit soared. She understood that her endurance was not passive, it was active resistance. Every moment she refused the king's advances, every time she held her courage, she fueled the rebellion outside the palace walls. Meanwhile, King Ozor's obsession grew unchecked. He could not eat, could not sleep, and prowled the palace halls like a caged lion. He punished servants for imagined slights and questioned advisors with a voice trembling with anger. "Why do they plot against me?" he roared one morning at Uchenna, his advisor. "Do they not know who I am?" Uchenna bowed low, trembling. "Sire, perhaps they are merely fearful. They respect your power, but..." King Ozor's eyes blazed. "Fear? Respect? They will kneel to me or they will burn." Even the palace guards began to notice his erratic behavior. Some, quietly, whispered among themselves that the king had grown dangerous, that his obsession with Mma had clouded his judgment. Odinaka and his allies spent days studying the palace. They observed the guards' rotations, the layout of the walls, and the secret pathways known only to servants. Ngozi sketched detailed maps, noting the times when patrols were lightest and when the palace gates could be bypassed. "Timing is everything," she said. "We cannot afford mistakes. One wrong move and Mma will be lost forever." Obina and Ifeanyi prepared weapons, spears sharpened to perfection, slings for stealth attacks, and traps to delay the king's men. The villagers rehearsed silently, moving through the forest like shadows, learning to communicate without speaking aloud. At night, Odinaka often sat alone by the river, thinking of Ma. His mind raced with strategies and contingencies, but above all, he held on to hope. "We will bring her back," he whispered to the stars. No crown, no king, no force can defeat love and justice. The days before the rebellion were tense. Spies loyal to King Ozor were spotted in the village, testing the villagers' resolve. One night, a patrol caught sight of Ifeanyi and Ebere moving near the forest. Tension crackled like lightning. "We must stay calm," Odinaka said, placing a steady hand on Ifeanyi's shoulder. "Do not act rashly. Courage is measured by patience as much as by strength." Ngozi added, "Every move we make must be deliberate. We are not just fighting for Mma, but for the dignity of Munze." The villagers nodded, their fear tempered by their unity. Each member knew the risk. One mistake could mean death or the permanent loss of Mma. Yet their hearts were stronger than their fear, their purpose sharper than any blade. On the night before their planned rescue, Munze was bathed in silver moonlight. The river gleamed, the forest whispered, and the wind seemed to carry secrets of what was to come. The villagers gathered around Odinaka. "Tonight, we reclaim what is ours," Odinaka said, his voice steady and commanding. "This is not merely a fight for one woman. It is a fight for justice, for honor, for love that no crown can take. Stay united. Trust each other. Courage will guide us." The villagers nodded, faces set with determination. Hunters checked arrows, blacksmiths polished blades, and even the youngest scouts were briefed on their roles. They had rehearsed, prepared, and now the moment to act was almost at hand. Far away in the palace, Mma steeled herself. Chisom brought Mma a satchel with food, a rope, and a small dagger. "When the moment comes, move quickly. Do not fear. Your courage has already sparked this rebellion." Mma nodded. Her heart, although beating with anxiety, was steady with purpose. She knew that love, courage, and justice were stronger than gold, walls, or kings. As dawn approached, the village was alive with silent anticipation. Shadows moved through the trees, weapons were checked, and last-minute plans were whispered. Mma, prepared and alert, waited for the signal. King Ozor, still consumed by obsession, paced the palace halls, unaware that the storm he had ignored was now at his doorstep. The first rays of sunlight touched the village, glinting off sharpened blades and glimmering eyes. Hearts raced, breaths quickened, and the air pulsed with a mix of fear, hope, and determination. And so, with courage blazing like fire in the hearts of the villagers, the stage was set. The night of reckoning had arrived, and the rebellion against King Ozor was ready to begin.
The first light of dawn spilled over the hills of Umunze, painting the village and the surrounding forest in shades of gold and crimson. The air was thick with anticipation, carrying the scent of wet earth and burning fires. Birds had not yet begun their morning song. Even nature seemed to hold its breath. Tonight, or rather this morning, would decide the fate of Mma, Odinaka, and the village itself. Odinaka stood at the edge of the forest, his eyes scanning the palace far across the fields. He was flanked by Ebere, Ifeanyi, Obina, and Umburzi. Each carried a weapon or tool, but their greatest strength was not the steel in their hands, it was their unity, courage, and the determination that surged like fire in their hearts. "This is it," Odinaka whispered, voice low but steady. "Every step we take from here must be deliberate. Remember, this is not just a battle for my wife. It is a fight for justice, for the dignity of Umunze, for every heart that has ever been broken by greed and tyranny." Ebere nodded, tightening the straps on his quiver. "The king underestimates us. He believes fear can hold us back, but courage is stronger than gold, stronger than walls, stronger than a crown." Obino checked the traps and sharpened blades one final time. "We strike precisely, quickly, and retreat if needed. But tonight, that crown falls."
Inside the palace, Ma's heart pounded, but she had long since learned to steady it. Chisom, the lawyer maid, had hidden a small satchel of supplies: dried food, a rope, a dagger, and messages from the villagers. The moment they arrive, follow my instructions, move quietly, act swiftly, and remember your courage. The king's obsession blinds him. You can use that. Ma nodded, gripping the dagger. She could feel the resolve of Odinaka and the villagers through the notes Chisom had brought. Their hope strengthened her. She was no longer just a prisoner. She was part of a plan that would topple a tyrant. Meanwhile, King Ozor paced the hallways of the palace, unaware that the shadows of his victims were closing in. His obsession with Ma had grown into madness. He imagined her in the golden robes of the palace, and yet, in his arrogance, he failed to realize that his wealth, power, and fear could never hold hearts bound by love and justice. The villagers moved like shadows through the forest, avoiding the main paths where patrols might spot them. Every step was calculated. Every movement was silent. Birds scattered at the rustle of leaves, but the humans pressed on, hearts hammering in rhythm with the river's distant roar. Ngozi led the way, guiding the group through hidden trails that even the palace guards did not know existed. "This way," she whispered. "We bypass the outer walls. Timing is everything. Wait for my signal." The villagers halted at the edge of the palace grounds. From this vantage point, the sprawling fortress seemed impenetrable. Towers gleaming under the rising sun, walls so high they cast shadows like darkness itself. "We will enter not with brute force alone," Odinaka said, his eyes fixed on the palace gates. "We will use cunning, distractions, and traps. Our strength is unity, and our goal is justice. Tonight, King Ozor will see the courage of his people." At dawn, Ifeanyi and Ebere silently cut ropes and set small diversions, releasing smoke and clattering debris to draw the guards away. The palace erupted in confusion. King Ozor, alarmed, sent patrols running in every direction. His voice roared through the halls, demanding obedience, but chaos had taken hold. Inside her chamber, Ma heard the commotion. She glanced at Chisom, who nodded. It was time. Carefully, Ma used the dagger to loosen the latch of her window and tie the rope to the sill. With a deep breath, she began her descent, using patience and focus to avoid making a sound. Every step was calculated, her heart filled with the determination to reunite with Odinaka and confront the tyrant. Outside, the villagers moved into position. Traps that Obina had prepared ensnared the first wave of palace guards, while arrows from Ifeanyi and Ebere provided cover. The walls of the palace, which once seemed insurmountable, now became the stage for King Ozor's unraveling. King Ozor appeared in the courtyard, grunt glinting under the sun. "What is this chaos? How dare you defy me?" Odinaka stepped forward, hands raised not in fear but in defiance. "You may wear a crown, Ozor, but it cannot hide your greed, your cruelty, or your lust. You have wronged my wife, our village, and every heart that seeks justice. Today we reclaim what is ours." The villagers surged forward, moving as one. Guards who were loyal in fear now hesitated. Many fled. Others dropped their weapons, unwilling to fight for a man whose obsession had blinded him to all else. Ma emerged from the shadows, her presence radiant with courage. She stood before the king, dagger in hand, her gaze unwavering. "Your power is empty," she said, voice ringing across the courtyard. "You may have walls and gold, but you cannot hold what is just. Your reign ends today." King Ozor, enraged and unprepared, lunged at Odinaka, but the villagers and Ma's quick thinking trapped him in a net designed by Obina. The crowd closed in, their unity a living force stronger than any throne or crown. Cornered, King Ozor's face twisted with fury and disbelief. "How dare you?" he shouted, struggling against the ropes. "I am your king! "Your crown does not make you a king," Dalu's voice echoed as he stepped forward, having arrived at the courtyard with elder villagers. "Power belongs to those who wield it justly, not those who rule through fear and lust. You have been weighed by justice, Ozor, and found wanting." The villagers, united in courage and love, forced the king to his knees. He realized at last that all his wealth, his guards, and his golden throne could not shield him from the consequences of his own cruelty. Ma stepped closer, eyes fierce. "Your greed and obsession were your undoing," she said. "And now the people you sought to dominate have claimed their dignity." King Ozor collapsed into silence, defeated not by swords alone, but by the unyielding courage of the hearts he had sought to enslave. Odinaka rushed to Ma's side, embracing her tightly. Tears streamed down their faces, but they were tears of relief, love, and triumph. "We are together again," Odinaka whispered. Ma smiled, leaning into his embrace. "And we are free, thanks to courage, unity, and the justice that cannot be bought or broken." The villagers cheered, the sound ringing through the palace and across Umunze. King Ozor was stripped of his title and wealth, sent into exile where he could no longer harm anyone. The palace, once a symbol of fear and tyranny, now became a testament to justice, courage, and the power of the people. Dalu addressed the villagers, his voice carrying across the courtyard. "Let this day be remembered. No man, no matter how powerful, can rule without honor, justice, and respect. Let this be a lesson for generations to come." Life in Umunze slowly returned to normal. Children's laughter filled the air once more. The market thrived. Families worked their fields in peace. And in the heart of the village, Odinaka and Mama built a home full of love, courage, and hope. The story of King Ozor's greed and downfall became legend, told around fires, in marketplaces, and under the shade of trees. It was a tale of love that could not be broken, of courage that could move mountains, and of justice that could topple even the mightiest of kings. Ma often recounted her ordeal to younger generations, emphasizing that true strength lies not in gold, walls, or titles, but in courage, unity, and the unbreakable bonds of love and justice. And so Umunze thrived, a village that had faced tyranny, conquered it, and emerged stronger, forever a reminder that no crown can withstand the will of the just.